instead of having the picture of the barn, you can have a video. And so people click on the Give Butter site, and it's us talking about why you're giving butter, you know? So, hey, you know, it's Elle and Danica. We're here to talk about the Laurels Farm and the awesome things we're doing here. The reasons you should help us accomplish what we're after is because...
Why? Why, Elle? Why should they?
I could tell you all day long, but I would just ruin the surprise. I think that if we go into, you know, topics like helping people appreciate what they're putting into their bodies, where their food is coming from, you know, why depending on food from 1,000 miles away is a bad idea, you know, things like that. Like, I think people will sit and listen to it.
Finding a way for farmers to be able to share, to grow and sell organic produce for a fair market value, and that local communities can then buy it for a fair price.
Huge, right?
Right. I mean, I think that that's really what at the heart of what we're trying to do. And I think that correlates into a lot of things. It correlates into the co-op.
Yeah.
Because it allows us to be able to sell the produce at a fair price. And it allows people to be able to afford organic vegetables as opposed to the grocery store. But there's also the piece of teaching people how to grow their own organic vegetables.
Right, right.
And that also helps them.
Right. I love it.
So.
I love it. Go for it.
We've been recording this whole time, so you can just keep going.
But you know what? That's an interesting perspective. Is like organic is supposed to be just like what happens organically, right? Like it's just food growing and people harvesting it and people eating it and getting nourishment from that. And yet it's more expensive. Like, why isn't the stuff that's like covered in pesticides and needs all this machinery and needs all this processing and needs all these added layers, why is that the cheaper stuff? You know, hey, we should be able to produce it for less and people should be able to buy it for less because it's just food. That's it. It's just food. But you know, no chemicals, no additives, no fertilizers, no...
I mean, to make a little bit of a political statement.
No.
Yes, and not, it's not a political statement in Republican versus Democrat or versus independent. It's about corporate versus people. So corporate America wants Americans to purchase vegetables from giant factory farms. And that's not just your non-organic vegetables. That's also your organic vegetables. They don't want you to purchase your vegetables from your local farm. They don't want you to have a local farmer who grows your vegetables. They want to put a middleman in there. They want Walmart. And the farmer isn't even selling to Walmart. The farmer is selling to a distributor who sells to Walmart. And they want all of those people in the middle to take a cut. And that's what small farmers are trying to tell you, is that the solution is to cut out the middleman. And the truth is, like, our model scares a lot of people. Having a nonprofit co-op that everybody can go to and sell their vegetables for a fair price directly to a consumer scares people because they've been told that the big C, capitalism, is the solution to everything. And it's not that capitalism's bad, it's that it's been bastardized into this middleman. And that's what's happening with your eggs, where, you know, in America is the only country in the world, call it pasteurized, call it treated, whatever words we want to use on what we do with our eggs. But America's the only country in the world where we take eggs and we give them to a middleman who charges a giant upcharge to wash your eggs for you and force them to be refrigerated. And a lot of the salmonella contamination actually comes from the people washing the eggs.
Mishandling our eggs.
And then they go into a refrigerator. And none of that is happening in Europe. Europe, eggs are self-stable. Like, so it's not that, capitalism's bad. It's not that, direct-to-consumer farm stores are bad. It's that giant corporations have started to dictate how our food is sold, processed, grown. And in that, there's just so many layers of, frankly, grossness.
There is, and it's also like, there's this mindset that buying direct from your farmer is bad. There's people that will tell you, like, I don't want to know where my eggs come from. Like, I'd rather buy it from the grocery store in this pretty washed little package than to go directly to where they came from and buy them. And for some reason, they don't want anything to do with that because the mindset is there that you have to buy from the big producers, from the grocery store, from the big farms, from, this pretty little...
How much of that is scare tactics?
Right.
Like, there's all these videos online, and they're true, but right? Like these giant, how your chickens are raised, right? In these giant gross warehouses, and they're literally shitting on each other. And you hear, oh, this is it. You hear that chickens can't live together unless you chop their beaks off. And that's the humane thing to do. Because if you don't do that, they'll peck each other to death. But the truth is that's not exactly how it works. They won't peck each other to death if they all have enough space.
Oh, right.
But we've been told this whole lie. And then that lie gets perpetuated, and then and it's not that farmers are bad or that they're trying to deceive you. I'm not trying to say that, farmers who debeak are, purposely trying to deceive you. It's just that they've been sold this idea that this is the only way to do it.
Right.
And then you get into this really, again, where you're in this cycle of misinformation and, and then I feel like there becomes this drowning out of people, piling on, no, but this is the way, instead of being able to sit at a table and talk about different ways. So the nonprofit is kind of focused on two different lines. That's not the right word. What is
Well, I think we have 3 priorities: food, community, and education.
All right, 3.
Right? And the food aspect is changing some of those people's minds, and that mindset, that idea that food has to come from one place, or, it has to be a certain way or grown a certain way.
So it's for the co-op.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes. Good, keep going.
I can't. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about.
She was going on a tangent, and I was like, this is we have to
All right, bring it back. Tell us about the nonprofit.
All right. So, nonprofit. It's going to have 3 areas, 3 distinct areas that we're focusing on. One is the co-op. It's a nonprofit co-op. And we are hoping to be able to provide a space for farmers to be able to sell their produce directly to consumers. And in an ideal world, it'll be 100% free for the farmers. They just stock their produce and, it gets sold, and they get to keep 100% of the profit if we get enough fundraising. If not, the only overhead it would cost them is the labor to staff the store, and that would be a percentage of what they sell. So that is area number 1. Area number 2 is community.
Yes.
That's you. You said community. You got to own that.
So area number 2 is community, absolutely. It's bringing people together. I think it's something that, we've needed for a really long time, and especially around the food space. Buying food, consuming food has become just such a non-personal experience. You don't even think about what you're eating anymore. When you tell people, when you ask people if they know where their food comes from, they have no idea. They have no idea how it got to their table most of the time. So just connecting people to their food and building a community around that is something that's super important to us.
No, that reminds me of the story of the eggs and the story of how Easter egg hunts came to be, and that chicken eggs aren't naturally white. And back in the day, when spring hit and chickens started laying again, they would lay kind of all over this place. They wouldn't lay, and you would be looking for a colored egg because they were all different colors, and so thus the Easter egg hunt was born. And now, of course, we take white eggs and dye them instead of.
Right? Yeah, that is pretty funny.
So connecting people to the food.
Connecting people
like
to
they
the
used
food.
to be.
And you said something about how there's this gap. Previous generations were connected to their food. Communities were centered around food, whether it was, gathering, hunting, preparing. Communities came together and they cooked together, and, they celebrated meals together, and now, I hate to admit it, but I've been there. You grab something and you eat it in the car on your way to your next, stop. There's no connection. It's just a thing you do in between A and B. But we all need it, and we should all appreciate it a little bit more. But it's not just about, where your food comes from. It's about being able to grow your own food as well, right?
And that's our third piece, education.
Third pillar is education.
And so the focus there is to teach classes, lots and lots of classes on all sorts of things. We're starting with the Sandown Garden Club. Shout out to the Sandown Garden Club. We're going to do a 5-month course for free once a month, and it's going to be essentially how to start a garden, starting with, what kind of garden, where you're going to put the garden, how to build a garden,
what to plant
in a garden, how to start plants or where to source your plants, how to take care of your plants once you put them in the ground. So that'll be kind of, that's already set. And then,
and I think the interest is there. People want to be able to do this for themselves, but they don't know how. They don't know where to start a lot of times. Yeah. Where do you buy your stuff? What should you buy? Do you start it from seed? Do you buy a plant? And all those are all things that we can easily help people, decide, because everybody has their whatever's best for them. Some people are going to go, route A, and other people need to go route B. But if at the end of the day everybody knows how to do this, and everybody understands, or has a basic understanding of how to do some of these things, they're going to be so much more connected to their food and connected to their community.
Yeah. So we also plan to teach people about chicken keeping, yes. How to keep chickens, how to build an inexpensive chicken coop. You really only need 4 chickens for a family. And you keep 4 chickens, and you don't have to buy grocery store eggs. And then, when egg prices skyrocket for various reasons, we won't get into the politics there, you'll have your own eggs. It's really not that hard. It easily gets out of control, and suddenly you need, we call it chicken math in our world, and you need 20 and then 30. But really, you only need 4 chickens, and, you'll have fresh eggs. And, a lot of other classes, putting up your food. That's been a big homesteading topic that's trending a lot on the internet. That encompasses a whole lot of things. freezing your food, canning your food, drying food, and making herbs, dried herbs, and your own dried herb blends. You would not believe the things that are in those little jars of herbs that you spend a lot of money for at the grocery store, and how inexpensive it really is to just, grow parsley and hang it to dry on from a hook somewhere.
I'll share a little bit of my experience with this. I have learned so much. I have spent the last year on the farm full time, and the things that exist around us that we are never aware of has just blown my mind. And I'm sure there's farms near a lot of people, and people just have no idea what goes on and how much work goes into it. And it's not just about being able to take care of yourself and feed yourself and your family, but the things that you're able to do, the things that a small family of farmers can accomplish is wild. I mean, we cut down trees, we cut these things into logs, we split logs, we heat our homes with these things. Yes, we dry food, we can food. Sometimes, we have way too many tomatoes that show up one week. We don't know what to do with them. And we harvest them, we prepare them. I say we, I didn't do any of that. But I supported. I was a supporter of the people that were doing this very important work.
How many bags of frozen tomatoes and feta can you have in a freezer for 1 year?
Listen, I know not everybody likes eggplant, but I have a new appreciation for eggplant because we grew it, because we harvested it, because we roasted it, because we salted it, because we preserved it, because we froze it. I love eggplant now. It is one of my favorite things ever. And yes, it's probably because of the work that went into it. And, I can bring it back, to our mission because of the community around it. The fact that we all came together and prepared eggplant. Like, I had no idea that there could be so much, joy in harvesting, preparing, and preserving your own food. Eggs, hatching chickens. We were able to grab an egg out of a coop, bring it into the house, put it in an incubator, hatch a chicken, raise the chicken, kill the chicken, eat the chicken. Like, all from one little egg that we went and got from a coop, and that, you're able to do this just completely blows my mind.
Hey, Al, how do you make a gray egg?
Hell if I know. Probably accidentally, to be honest. Well, you mix this chicken with that chicken, and then this chicken.
Okay, I'll give you an easier one, an olive egg.
Oh, I know this one. Dark brown egg and like a bluish egg. And then they have babies. And then that baby lays a different egg. And then you have an olive egg. Wow. What else you got?
I was just trying to question how much you actually learned.
I learned how to harvest carrots. Carrots are very deceiving. You go out there and there's like this green stuff coming out of the ground, but little do you know that there's a full grown carrot under there. And sometimes you pull it and this stupid little thing comes out. And you're like, seriously? Like, you got like 3 feet of bush and like this tiny little carrot? So you have to go in, you have to check it, and sometimes there's this giant carrot just hiding under there. No idea that you actually had to dig in the dirt and kind of feel the carrot before you pluck it out of the ground. I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's what farmers do.
Good job.
Yeah.
I feel like you did learn something.
Yeah. You know what else I learned? Cucumbers hide everywhere. Cucumbers. She's like, go harvest the cucumbers. And I come back with like 3. And then she goes to harvest the cucumbers and she comes out with this basket. I'm like, where'd you get those from? And just hiding in the weeds.
You gotta kind of have to dig.
Yes. I learned the importance of weeding. Holy crap. Like, if you don't get on it, like the minute those weeds come, you're screwed. The rest of the season, you're going to spend weeding. When you could have just real quick and done it, like in May, nope.
But then your friend stopped by and started talking to you and you didn't get it done.
Listen, June, July, August, September, I'm still weeding. I could have just spent like 4 days in May. I learned how hard it is to keep pests away organically. Like, you're just hoping that they leave. Turns out, doesn't work. You have to do so much more than hope and pray that these little bugs go away before your wife comes out and finds them. They don't go away. Like, it's just amazing, like how quickly. I learned about rabbits in your garden. You leave the door open and you wake up to 0 lettuce. That was disappointing. I learned a lot about how important it is to water your plants early on. You know, I think as a homeowner, you're like, oh, go water the plants. And, you know, if you water them, and you get flowers or you don't, and it's not a big deal. But it turns out when it's food and you don't water them, they don't grow. I know, shocker. But,
well, just to make you feel a little better, I learned a lot from you with your year here.
Tell me.
I learned that spreadsheets might, on occasion, be a friend. And it's probably better to fill them out instead of relying on my memory when I have to close my eyes and you have to tell me, what did you grow in each row, Danica? Although I will say that I was only 1 off on that whole row.
You're pretty good.
I also realized that it is much easier to order your seed for the next year when you wrote down what you grew the year before and how much you ordered. I could see the advantage of that.
Forecasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And also recipes for things like soap. It turns out customers do like that the soap is the same when it has the same name every time.
It is, you know, but you hit on something that I think we need to circle back on, and it's recipes. Like, that is, when you talk about community and, you know, sharing some of those things, you know, how many great recipes have we gotten from other people, and how many things have we tried, and we just, you know, we think we knew what we like to eat, you know, and then people started sharing their recipes and things that they grew up on, or things that, you know, their parents, you know, think about how much, you know, you connect people all of a sudden, you know, when you're sharing your recipes, you know, that you grew up with people in this area. And then, like, we have people from, you know, Italian backgrounds. We have people, you know, from Middle Eastern backgrounds. We have people from Latin American backgrounds. And they're all sharing these recipes with us. And all of a sudden, we're connecting, like, the whole world right here in Sandown, you know, through recipes and through food.
Through food.
And through food. Look at that smile. I love it.
And how great would it be to teach people how to cook some of those vegetables right here in our kitchen?
How many new vegetables have we introduced to people, you know?
Oh, lemon cucumbers. They're like a cult favorite now.
Kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi. Couldn't keep that in stock.
Yeah, it's stuff I've never seen a kohlrabi before we grew it. Mm-hmm. No idea what this thing was, and it's amazing.
Lemon cucumbers, too. You didn't know what those were either.
Negative. And, yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, that sharing of those, you know, of those traditions or those recipes, or even trying new things, you know, whether maybe we've never tried them.
Right.
You know, the little sour gherkins we grew. Mm-hmm. You know, how fun were those? And people were excited about them. And just, what are these? They're so cute. But, yeah.
Yeah. But good. She's, you know, she's held together quite well given her age. But yes, the barn needs some help. The upper barn is what we're talking about, where we want to make the community space and the co-op. She had a little unfortunate mishap in about 1951 to 1953 or we want to say well-meaning person who purchased her made some poor foundation choices and poured a whole lot of concrete on her. And it's kind of, we like to say we have a little bit of a wave action. And so she needs a little bit of foundation work. And she needs some insulation.
Yeah. But you know what? It's a beautiful structure. I mean, just being in there, and I think everybody who goes in there, like just the structure itself. And then I don't know, like I feel like it has like really good energy. You walk in there and you feel, you know, what this building has been, you know, throughout the generations. And, you know, just thinking of what we're gonna do with it, I think, you know, you can really get a good sense of the importance of that building, you know, on this property.
Yes.
You know, we've done a lot of research on the property. I mean, we discovered that it was called the Laurels Farm, you know, decades ago. And
Originally.
that's why we brought the name back. But you know, from the things that we've seen, the property at one point was over 1,000 acres in size. So if you can imagine a farm, 1,000 acres of you know, farmland.
Early 1800s. So that was a giant farm then.
Right. What it meant to this community, you know. So if you think about, you know, 1,000 acres farm, one barn, you know, that supported, you know, and I'm sure there were other buildings here, but the fact that this was the central location, you know, for that agriculture that was happening at that time, you know, and we're trying to bring that back and kind of, you know, just, you know, revive that sense that this is where food is grown for this community. Like, how cool is that? You know, so the work that needs to go into it, you know, when you think of it in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. You know, we need to insulate it. We need to, you know, install some modern, you know, appliances and infrastructure. But that building, the structure itself is beautiful, and bringing it back to, you know, a place where people come get food, you know, where people gather, where people come and learn things, where people come together. But that, it's pretty inspiring. I don't know.
Well, you should really focus on that though, because in all of this, we're only asking for $50,000, and in today's like dollars, this giant building that's going to house a whole lot of different events and infrastructure for $50,000. That's not a lot of money.
You can't build a new shed for $50,000.
I mean, you can't even buy a lot of cars for $50,000. Let's be honest. So, you know, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Considering what we're getting in return. That, you know, encompasses refrigerators and freezers and some cold storage and installing a heating and cooling system, which it desperately needs.
Yeah, but you know what? Think about that. Like, why is it only $50,000?
Well, because it's been kept up so well. And because we, as a community, are going to invest all of the labor. So all of the labor is free. So when we come up with the totals for, say, insulating, that's just the insulation, because we are going to insulate it. We'll put in the labor, along with our board members and other friends of the farm.
Our friends and neighbors and our supporters are just, you know, I already know people are going to show up, you know, because this is important to them. So that means the message is getting out there.
Right.
People are understanding, and people are hearing us when we say that this is important, you know, and they're going to show up. They show up for us every time, and we can't do it without them.
Absolutely. But it also shows you a lot of people are like, why a nonprofit farm? And I think that we have this idea in our head that only uber wealthy people start nonprofits. Or the government supports nonprofits. And what we're trying to show is that regular people, regular, normal, average people can come together and start a nonprofit. And we don't need to rely on the government, and we don't need to rely on the uber wealthy, because together we can start a nonprofit and we can decide what the focus of that is, and we can push it forward. I think the biggest thing that this country needs is people coming together around things that their community finds important and that they can all agree is important, and then just push it forward. Stop relying on zillionaires or billionaires or trillionaires or whatever they are. Stop relying on the government. Do it yourself.
No one's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you, but we can save each other.
Love it.
I hate asking people for money, Pierre.
It really showed. It really showed,
Right.
because all of the conversation was really organic.
And then it's like, you do it first and then I'll do it second.
If you want to support us, if you really want to support us, check out our website. We've got some pretty cool stuff on there.
If you want to support us, go to our website. Check us out.
All right.
I can't do it.